Yeah, people do get concerned about the health impact of sodium. The largest study on salt and its effect on blood pressure and health was the PURE study. It was run, one of the, uh, the people running the study was Dr. Salim Youssef. He's a cardiologist out of Canada. He's head of the World Heart Federation. They studied over 120,000 people in 22 countries. They did urinary excretion analysis, so it was a lot more accurate than just those epidemiology studies with food frequency questionnaires. What they discovered is there was a pretty healthy range of sodium between about 3 and 6 grams a day. That's sodium. Remember, sodium chloride is salt, and only about 40% of salt is sodium. So if I say 3 to 6 grams a day, maybe 5 grams of sodium would be 12 grams of salt, if you wanted to measure that, just so we distinguish the difference between the two. And what they found was between 3 and 6 grams a day, they had the lowest incidence of cardiovascular disease. Below 3 grams a day, they had a really significant spike in all-cause mortality. And so there is an instance at which too little sodium can cause health problems. Now, there are hypertensive people, salt-sensitive individuals who have maybe genetic predisposition for high blood pressure. When you got over 6 and certainly over 7 grams a day, that portion of the population, small percentage, maybe 10, 12% of the population who's hypertensive and salt-sensitive, had an increase in all-cause mortality. It was not as dramatic as that below 3 grams. They had a much more significant increase in all-cause mortality when they over-restricted than when they over-consumed.
Interesting.
And when you introduced adequate potassium into the hypertensives who consumed over 7 grams of sodium a day, the increase flattened out. Not entirely flat, but it dramatically decreased. So what you find is that a potassium deficiency is a lot better indicator, a lot bigger problem to solve than the sodium intake itself. The normotensive individuals, the 90% of the population who consumed over 7 grams of sodium a day, did not show a significant increase in all-cause mortality. So most people can tolerate significantly more than what the AHA recommendations are. I will say with respect to the DASH diet studies, a couple of things. One, they were done on only hypertensives. It was only a 30-day study, and they didn't have a control group. Well, let's say this. They introduced a significant increase in fruits and vegetables, which provided them greater potassium. And they didn't have a control group where they introduced the fruits and vegetables but didn't reduce the sodium. And so the DASH group did have a decrease in blood pressure, but it wasn't necessarily because of the reduction in sodium. It was more likely because of the introduction of more potassium from fruits and vegetables. And so that's just something to consider. Look, if you're obese and hypertensive and inactive and you're eating a can of Pringles a day, do not add salt to your diet. Bad idea. You know? But if you're an active individual, sweating, training at the gym, and generally speaking, those of us who are active and healthy are not eating fast food, and we're not eating a lot of packaged food. Yeah. So we're probably on the lower end of consumers when it comes to sodium. And we believe all of the hype and the myths that we have to restrict sodium. So when you add it back in, you're probably only getting 5 or 6 grams a day, which is well within the range for healthy individuals. And then if you're a salty sweater like Lane Johnson is, you might need more. And so you have to base it on your size, your workload, the temperature, the humidity. All of that has an effect. So introduce it and see how you feel. You said you felt fantastic. I experienced the same thing. And beyond that, my immune system dramatically improved. I haven't had a cold to speak of in almost 5 years.